Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new video on the channel, guys. So I have for you guys today, I have another episode of the Championship Roundup, guys. I believe that this is now episode 13 of the Championship Roundup, and we've had a pretty good week of Championship fixtures, if I say so myself. We've had a couple of shocks here and there and a couple of big scorelines as well this weekend, so I'm really looking forward to getting into all of these scorelines actually, guys. But before we do any of that, I will include your comments on the screen now, so if any of you guys did manage to successfully correctly guess any of this week's scorelines, I will include your comment now. So fair play to everyone who successfully managed to get a prediction right. I think this week I managed to get one prediction right. I believe that was the QPR against Norwich match. I did say that that one would end 2-1, and in the end it ended just that. But before we actually get into anything else as well, I must say that the next episode of the Championship Project will be coming out tomorrow. I should get that out tomorrow. If it's not tomorrow, it'll be the day after that, but it should be out tomorrow if I get it edited on time. And as well as that, I know I've been slacking lately with the Preston career mode. It's just I've not had as much time to record videos as I would have liked to lately since I've gone back to college. I've had like college work to do and stuff like that, but I'll try and get an episode of that out this week as well. But like I said, guys, we'll just get into reviewing all this week's matches now. So the first game we had to talk about, guys, was played on Friday night. That was between Brighton and Aston Villa. So this big clash actually at the top of the table managed to finish level as a 1-1. So going into this game, it was a really difficult one to predict actually, because both teams at this point in time really are going into this one on fantastic form. I mean, Aston Villa, since Steve Bruce has come in, have been fantastic, and Brighton obviously are looking to catch up Newcastle at this point in time at the top of the table. But it was actually Villa who made the brighter start in this match. They actually managed to take the lead through a Baker header, I think it was, early on. But Brighton then managed to equalise just before half-time through Glenn Murray. But in this game, I felt like Brighton, they weren't at their best in this match. From what they've shown so far this season, I actually thought that Aston Villa would have been quite disappointed and quite unlucky in some respects not to get all 3 points. They had other chances to go on and win the match. They just couldn't take them. But in the end, this one did finish level, which didn't really do any of the sides too many favours, really. And in the next game we go into, guys, we have Barnsley coming up against Wigan Athletic. So this one actually managed to finish 0-0 in the end, and to be honest, I was expecting quite a low scorer ever since that, of course, Warren Joyce came into the Wigan job. He conceded 3 goals on his first game in charge of Wigan, with them losing 3-0 to Reading. I think that over the course of the international break, that will have been his main focus with this Wigan squad, was to focus on shoring up the defence and then working on the attack later on. And I think that's, you know, that was evident in this game, really. They made it hard for Barnsley. They closed them down quite well, and they did a lot of work off the ball in this match, which I thought was quite impressive from Wigan. Going forward, I think there's still areas to work on, but it definitely was an improvement from what they showed against Reading earlier on under Warren Joyce. So I asked this question to Wigan fans: do you think Warren Joyce will be able to keep this side up? Let me know down below. And do you think that your current squad is actually good enough for the Championship? Let me know in the comments down below. But Barnsley, I thought, would have been quite disappointed. I thought they would have been targeting this game as 3 points, really, after they've had a couple draws lately in their results. They couldn't do it in this one, as it finished 0-0. And then our next match we then go into, guys, we have Birmingham coming up against Bristol City. So Birmingham have taken another step in the right direction with this result against a pretty tough Bristol City side, managing to come out with a 1-0 victory against them. So first of all, I must say this, like, how did this game finish 1-0? It's just completely beyond me how this managed to finish 1-0. I mean, both sides in this match had catalogues of chances, and considering the attacking prowess which both these sides have possessed so far this season and the goal threats they actually have going forward, how this one managed to finish 1-0 with the amount of chances that both teams had was just absolutely ridiculous. But in the end, it was a Che Adams goal which turned out to be the decisive one, and I do think that Bristol City would have been disappointed not to get anything out of this game, as they were in it, you know, from the first minute till the last. It's just that they couldn't take any of their chances. Similarly to that, Birmingham had chances to go 2-3 ahead. They just couldn't manage to take them, and the 1-0 in the end was enough to make it. So Birmingham fans, do you think you have enough to make the playoffs? Let me know down below. And Bristol City, what do you think is going wrong at this point in time? I mean, it's sort of like a downward spiral of form. Do you think this is only temporary, or do you think you could be on for a bad run so far? Then into our next match, guys, we have Blackburn Rovers coming up against Brentford. So in this one, Blackburn managed to walk away with a very impressive 3-2 victory over Brentford. So this one was quite a crazy one, actually, and I think that both defences weren't helped by the weather conditions at Blackburn Rovers. I don't know if you guys saw it, but just the pitch and the amount of hailstone that had come down onto it really didn't look favourable for either pair of defences, and that was evident in this game. I mean, all the action in this game actually came in the first half, with all 5 of the goals being scored in the first half of this game, and both Danny Graham and Scott Hogan scored twice in this one, but there was actually a Harley Dean own goal which turned out to be the decisive one for Blackburn Rovers. And I do feel like Blackburn were sort of in need of this, really. I thought that they quite deserved this game as well, really, as the performances they've been having lately they've not been the best, but in the same time, they've not really warranted being in the relegation zone, in my opinion. But they finally managed to get a decent result here against Brentford, a very impressive one indeed against Brentford. I think Brentford will have been quite disappointed, really. Their defending as well at times, Brentford's, for some of the Blackburn goals was very questionable, I've got to say that. So let me know in the comments down below, Brentford fans, what you thought went wrong in this game. But Blackburn Rovers, this is the sort of games you need more of this season, and this is the sort of game which could keep you up this year. And then to our next game we go, guys. We have Cardiff coming up against Huddersfield, where this one managed to finish 3-2 to the home side. So a fantastic result from Cardiff City, and I was actually backing Cardiff going into this match. I think I predicted a draw in my other predictions video, but I did say that I thought that I wouldn't be surprised if Cardiff actually got all 3 points in this match, and in the end, that's just what they did. And I mean, we got to start with Huddersfield's defending from set pieces. It's just such an obvious, you know, downfall that they have, but they've not really seemed to have been able to address it so far this season. Whether you think that's something with the players themselves or the coaching staff, people like Zenga in charge of them, should he be doing more to solve this problem? But, I mean, the goal that I think it was Ricky Lambert scored from the corner was just, the defending from Huddersfield was just abysmal. They just stood there like statues. They doubled up on quite a few of their players as well, but they couldn't get anywhere near to it. So that is an area which seriously needs to be addressed for Huddersfield going forward. But I've got to say, Huddersfield, compared to how they played, like, say, against Fulham a couple of weeks ago, I didn't actually think that Huddersfield played that bad, and I think that if they are they do need to shore up their defence, because it really doesn't do justice to how good they are going forward. But this result for Cardiff was absolutely massive for them. They've continued to build on what Neil Warnock has already set down the foundations for this season, and this has managed to keep them just above the relegation zone, so a very good result indeed for Cardiff. And then into our next match we go to, guys. We have Derby County managing to beat Rotherham by 3-0. So once again, Rotherham they've just been cut further adrift at the bottom of the table now by losing 3-0 to this very impressive Derby County side, especially as well as Blackburn managed to pick up 3 points. This really does leave Rotherham in it this season, and maybe this is irreversible now. Who knows? Does anyone think that Rotherham will avoid relegation this season? I'd be very interested to know. Me, for one, I just don't think this squad is going to be strong enough. But talking about Derby County, they really do seem to have turned the corner this season under Steve McLaren now. I think a standout performance from this match had to be Tom Ince. I mean, he looks unstoppable at this point in time. He scored 2 goals in this match and missed a penalty, and I think it's this sort of form that when all their players come together like this, I mean, there's no doubt there's quality in this Derby County squad, and they're looking for a viable candidates now for the playoffs without a shadow of a doubt, in my opinion. So, Derby fans, do you think that you will make the playoffs? I think if you continue in this way, you probably will. Then to our next match we go to, guys. We have Fulham coming up against Sheffield Wednesday. So for this one managed to finish level at Craven Cottage with a 1-1 draw being played out between the two sides. So Fulham actually did well in this game to get back into it after a very late equaliser, after Wednesday had led for the majority of it, really. It was actually Forestieri who gave them the lead after just 10 minutes, after a fantastic build-up play. If you've not seen this goal, guys, that Sheffield Wednesday scored, make sure you go check it out. It was just fantastic. I think it was Forestieri, Bannon, and someone else involved in the goal. It was just the accumulation of all the passes and stuff like that. It was an absolutely fantastic goal from them. But Sheffield Wednesday, I think they should have gone on to win this match, to be completely honest. I think they had chances to bury the game, and when you go 2-0 down to a team like Sheffield Wednesday, or even 3-0 down like they could have made it, then it becomes impossible to get back into the game. But they failed to kill off the game, and in the end that led Fulham to getting back into this game, with Scott Maloney grabbing the late equaliser. So that continues actually Fulham's impressive run of form lately, and that keeps them you know, within the shout of making the playoffs this season. Sheffield Wednesday, I feel like if they are going to get promotion this season, this is the sort of game which they really do need to start winning now. But it is an improvement from what they've shown recently, but there's still a way to go for them this season. Then to our next match we're going to, guys, we have Preston North End coming up against Wolves, and what a boring game of football this was. I can't say much more about this. This was just probably one of the worst games of the season I've seen so far as a Preston fan. But this game never really got going, and it was really summed up really by Jordan Hugo going through on goal in the last minute of the match and then blazing his shot over the bar. That was just such a frustrating thing, because Preston could have won it in the last minute, of course. I must say, in the first half, I felt like, of course, this was Wolves' first game under new manager Paul Lambert. In the first half, I thought it was Wolves on the ball. I thought were very poor, actually. I thought that quite a few players, like Bud Vardson, for one, I thought he looked like he was lacking a bit of confidence on the ball. But off the ball, in fact, I thought Wolves did very well in this match. They did well to limit Preston's space. They doubled up on quite a lot of our danger men, like Callum Robinson and Aidan McGeady, and made them quite ineffective for the majority of the match. And when Paul Gallagher went off with an injury in the second half, Preston never really had that spark in midfield to create anything, really. Preston did, however, have a very strong penalty appeal 0, which in my opinion, it was a penalty, but at the end of the day, you know, with some of the officiating that's gone on so far this season throughout the majority of the clubs, it's such a frustrating thing, really. I think the FA really do need to address the refereeing standard in this league. I'm sure the majority of fans watching this video will agree with that. But in the end, this one finished 0-0, and it was probably a fair result in the end, really. I mean, both teams were poor in this one. We'll just move on from it. And then on the next match, guys, we have QPR coming up against Norwich. This one being Ian Holloway's first game in charge of QPR. Managed to finish 2-1 to QPR, and the pressure just keeps on piling on Alex Neil at this point in time. So I'd love to get some more Norwich fans' opinions as to what you thought of this game, really. I mean, so it has to be said, first of all, that I actually did predict this one. I would say that this one ended 2-1 to QPR, and in the end, it finished just that. So I'm pretty happy to predict this one. But QPR were aided, of course, in like the first 2 minutes after Martin Olsen was sent off for a handball on the line. It was a pretty crazy handball, really, and just stupidity from him, really. From the resulting penalty, Cherry actually put it wide. But saying that, I did actually think that he had a very good game in this match, actually, Cherry. I thought that from what he showed at the start of the season, he was fantastic, but lately he'd been really off the pace. But in this game, I actually thought he played very well, and the Ian Holloway regime now has got off to a fantastic start at QPR. So let me know in the comments down below, QPR fans, what do you think the rest of the season will entail under Ian Holloway? Because I think there was a lot of positive signs showed in this match, despite playing against 10 men for the majority of it. And where does this leave Norwich at this point in time? I mean, they just seem to be piling down the table. They were in the top 2 not too long ago. Only a month ago, they were in the top 2. Now they're just about clinging on to a playoff spot. So how far do you think Norwich will actually slip down the table? Let me know down below. And then the next game we go into, guys, we have Reading coming up against Burton Albion. This one managed to finish 3-0 to Reading in the end, and they have just continued this fantastic run of form they've had going lately. And I think it has to be said that Reading have gone probably largely unnoticed. I mean, the large underdog story of the season so far would be, of course, Huddersfield Town, with them starting how well they did this season. But Reading have had quite the opposite of that, actually. They had a little bit of an inconsistent start to this season. However, lately, the run they've managed to accumulate on has been phenomenal for them, and they actually find themselves 3rd in the table at this point, which is just crazy considering some of the results they were having at the start of the season. But if it was a fantastic result for them, albeit they were playing a Burton Albion side who isn't really expected to do much this season. I mean, they're expected to be in and around relegation this season, but nevertheless, it was a fantastic performance from Reading, and this could even result in a promotion season for you at the end of it. So let me know in the comments down below, Reading fans, are you starting to believe this season that this season could actually turn into something? I mean, looking through your squad, you do have quite a few game changes in there. However, saying that, it wouldn't be the sort of side that I'd picture to get the playoffs, but with the current leadership that you've got going on within that team, the current team morale you've got, and of course with a fantastic management team behind you, who knows what's possible for the rest of the season. And as well as that, Burton Albion, should you be worried, because your recent run of form really hasn't been great compared to how you did start the season, so you could be dragged into that bottom 3 pretty soon now. And then to our next game, guys, the last game being played on Saturday was between Ipswich Town and Nottingham Forest, and to my surprise, Nottingham Forest actually walked away with a 2-0 victory in this game, thanks to 2 goals from Britt Assombalonga. So I think what this game showed more than anything was just how much of a different side Nottingham Forest can be when they do have Britt Assombalonga fit and up front in their team starting. He just made a massive difference to this game, and Ipswich Town really couldn't deal with him in this game. And I've seen a lot of frustrated Ipswich fans after this match. Who do you blame for this, really? I mean, I know you can throw a lot of stick towards Mick McCarthy at the end of the day, and understandably so. I mean, this performance was not good enough, and really from what you set your targets out from the start of the season, it's been a very inconsistent start to this season. But I thought that some of your plays in this game really should have held their head in shame. I mean, it was just an accumulation of a lot of things really which led to this result, but not taking anything away from Nottingham Forest, of course. This was a massively needed victory for Nottingham Forest. Had they lost this match, they would then, you know, be dragged into a bottom 3 scrap at this point in time, and to be dragged into that in November for a team like Nottingham Forest, I think they do need to stay just above that. And if Britt Assombalonga is going to continue supplying the goals, you should be alright this season. And then the last game we go into, guys, being played on the Sunday, was between Leeds United and Newcastle. So this one actually managed to finish 2-0 to Newcastle in the end. And what can we say? First of all, we've got to talk about Rob Green for a minute, because that first goal which Dwight Gale scored, oh my word. I don't know if you guys have seen it. If you've not, make sure you go check it out. It was just a typical Rob Green sort of blunder, really. And I'd love to get some Leeds fans' opinions as to what you've thought of Rob Green so far this season, actually. honestly, because he actually was getting a lot of stick towards the start of the season. Lately, he's actually looked quite good, but this match just, I can't describe it. Basically, Jack Colback saw that Rob Green was a little bit off his line, so he decided to have a go from about the halfway line. Rob Green then sort of catched the ball, then squirmed it out straight into the path of Dwight Gale, and a striker like that was never going to miss that sort of chance. So a really unfortunate one, actually, because when Newcastle were 1-up, Leeds actually did have chances to get back into this game, but they just couldn't take any. And when Newcastle got that second, thanks to another Dwight Gale goal, you know, that was always going to be how the writing was going to go, and Newcastle were always then going to go on to win this match. So that's actually a massive 3 points for Newcastle. Obviously, with Brighton only drawing this weekend, that takes them further towards the top of the table. And do we think that now Newcastle will run away with this league? I think they will still encounter some challenges this season, but with just that squad depth that they've got, it's hard to see any other way this season, really. So now, guys, I will go ahead and tell you what I thought my goal of the weekend was. So I'd love to know what you guys have to say in the comments down below. So make sure you, of course, leave a comment as to how your team performed this weekend, and as well as that, what do you think the goal of the weekend was and the result of the weekend. So in my opinion, the goal of the weekend, I'm going to give it to Forestieri. I don't know what it is about. I just love the build-up play that accumulated into this goal, the nice little flicks like that. I just love goals like that. So that's going to be my goal of the weekend. And then my result of the weekend, this could have gone to a couple of teams, to be fair, but I'm actually going to give it to Cardiff, just considering the contrast of seasons which these two sides have had so far, with Cardiff being right at the bottom and Huddersfield being right at the top. I thought that this game was just fantastic from Cardiff, a really well-deserved victory as well for them. So my result of the weekend is going to go for Cardiff for beating Huddersfield 3-2. So now, guys, I will now wrap it up for this video. So thank you so much for watching. So if you have enjoyed this video of the Championship Roundup, guys, make sure you leave a like. And as well as that, like I said at the start of the video, tomorrow or the day after that, the next episode of the Championship Project will be coming out. So you got that, guys, to look forward to. But like I said, guys, thank you so much for watching. So make sure you check out all the other links in the description down below. Make sure you follow me on Twitter. I always tweet before I upload a video. Therefore, you'll never miss a video ever again, guys. But apart from that, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.